Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sandbaggers podcast. My name is John Reed. My pronouns are "What you doing there?" and "Fuck off, cunt."
Hi, I'm Wary, and my pronouns are like good day and mate. I guess I'm terrible at Israeli accents.
My name's Anthony, and my pronouns are shrimp and Barbie. This week, we're in Australia briefly because nothing happened.
Apologies about once again consistently being late, but things happen. All right, This is a free podcast. What do you expect? Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hosted by two child, so like they have like homework to do and stuff like that. So it's
Quite
gonna get
literally
better
in
in the
my
summer.
case.
Yeah. Australia, was it good? Was it bad? Racing was kind of shit. Don't we agree?
So we saw this new track layout, which seemed all right. To be fair, I was never a big fan of Melbourne, but whatever. And
It
also,
was It was very fun to drive. It was not very fun to watch race.
right. And also like the FIA, I guess, kind of knew this because they decided that like, all right, fuck it, let's gonna have 40-hour zones.
Quick overview of changes for this year because they are very different from the rest of our Australian Grand Prix. All of the turns have been widened. The sort of like final chicane before you get onto the back straight is gone. So now it's just one very long straight. They've changed that sort of kink in it. So now it's more like two 90-degree turns. And yes, there are now 4 DRS zones, where there used to be only 3, and there are only 2 detection zones. So you get 1 detection point for 2 DRS straights.
Yes, the double DRS shenanigans.
The cowards, slight correction, the cowards actually took away one of the DRS zones before the weekend. They were planning on doing 4, and they took away one, so it was only 3, which I
Did
was
they?
deeply disappointed
So
by.
they
Yeah.
they they had the 4 for free practice, and I think by the time qualifying rolled off, like they removed one of them because they were like, yeah, there's a few crashes there. It's like, let's dial it down a bit.
Fucking
Because they're fucking
bastards.
cowards.
Sons of bitches. God damn it. I fucking hate the FIA. Bring up the goddamn image.
Yes, we all
All
hate
right.
the
Jean
FIA.
Todt, like the
So
ghost of Jean Todt, like haunting this Australian Grand Prix.
so anyways, we have that the new track. We also have new cars, of course, that don't fucking work. Which we will get into later on as it goes. But first, we have to start with Aston Martin, Sebastian Vettel, his first race back. He's been gone for a little bit. He's had some undisclosed virus of unknown origin, and his car is on fire. So what does he do? He just gets out. He's like, you know what? Fuck this. I have many jobs. One of them is a part-time fireman,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just grabs the extinguisher, and then he just puts his own car out like a fucking Chad.
Another notch in the special rescuer Seb column. Also points for the blue icicle reference.
To be fair, like that's an interesting thing that we see a lot now with all the electrical systems in the car. That the drivers, we also saw this with Max later in the weekend. Like the drivers really point where the fire crew have to extinguish the fires to A, avoid wrecking the car even more, and B, also to avoid like creating a massive electrical safety risk. So we love safety in Formula One.
We do, at least when it comes to fires on cars. But of course, after that, Seb, he can't drive his car back to the pits. He has to find his own way back. Oh wait, there's someone with a scooter. Sir, could I borrow your scooter, please? Yes. Yeah. Oh well. Thank you very much. All right, let me just pop the helmet off here, rest it on my head. We'll get a little. Oh, what? I can't do that. What? A $5,000 fine?
Uh,
This is fucking bullshit.
We hate the FIA.
to be fair, like I get it in the sense of like it's not a safe way to ride a moped with like your helmet like half in your head. Fair enough, but
Wasn't the
It's lame as shit.
wasn't the reason for the fine though not the fact he was wearing his helmet not properly, and was the fact that he was just on the track in an unauthorized vehicle or some bullshit?
yeah. Right, yeah.
Also lame as
Because
shit.
if they gave him a fine for like, hey, like safety wise, this is kind of shitty, like I would have been okay, fair, but no.
I understand why he did it though, because if he did the way that you're supposed to do, he would have to go all the way around to the fucking paddock entrance, which sucks. I don't want to fucking do that. I just want to go right to the fucking pit garage. God damn it.
Exactly. Also, like you're Seb Vettel, right? That $5,000 is not going to be, particularly worrying for you.
Yeah.
So, like, just I would, fuck it, just get the moped back. He's a Formula One racing driver. The bastard can drive a moped.
That $5,000 is one ball bearing joint on his Mercedes Benz.
Exactly.
And also give us like a lot of fun memes of like Seb Seb racing in MotoGP, Seb in Mario Kart, stuff like this. Like we missed him, and well, he clearly wasn't competitive, as we saw straight from the FP1. Like we at least had some fun with him.
Yes, that was quite fun, and I'm happy that Seb is back. But I am sad that he's in a dog shit car because fast forward over to FP3. Oh, Lance Stroll has crashed. Oh, Sebastian Vettel has crashed. Oh no, what is going on?
He,
The Aston Martin is just an undrivable dog. It seems. I mean, yeah. And then they spent all night trying to fix it. It's the both crashes. It was I can't remember where on the track it was, but both of them did their front right corners of the car as well. It was essentially the same damage.
It was the end of the back straight, I
Mhm.
believe, for both of them.
Yeah, it's just it's been a bad few years for Seb, and it's just getting worse. Poor bastard.
Not to go off track too much, but I think it might be the end for him finally.
Maybe could be sad
yeah,
times.
unless they really like turn this car around, like it's yeah, I don't know. It's not looking good for a comeback for poor old Seb.
It's unfortunate. We love our Seb. I came into Formula One after the Seb dominance years, so I don't know. Would I have hated him before? Maybe, but also maybe
I think
not.
it's
He's always he's always seemed like an honest, like sort of like happy go lucky
I did. I
character.
hated him when he was younger, winning everything for Red Bull. But coming back to the sport, coming back to like old angry Seb has just made me love him. He's just such a lovable guy now. 'Cause when he was younger, he was a fucking cunt. But like he has mellowed and is very enjoyable to watch now.
I think young Seb was maybe like first he was younger, probably like not as mature, but also like the Red Bull kind of environment is well, you could see like it's a team that like really gets you to be competitive and to be arrogant and to be like you said, kind of a cunt.
I was about to ask too. How much of that was just pure hatred for Seb? How much of that was just hatred for Christian Horner's stupid fucking face?
98% of it was hatred for Red Bull over Seb. I do got to admit, just young Seb. You go back and watch it; he was really funny. The best way I can describe it is, young Seb was imagine Max, all of the talent Max has, but is much funnier and like just d- dominant totally for several seasons. So it was an interesting situation to be in as an F1 fan around then.
And not to go to back on like history or whatever, but like the opposition to Red Bull in that era was really weak. So like,
Yeah,
It was Fernando Alonso and a couple other people in 2010, if I remember
yeah.
correctly.
2012 was the closest where him and Alonso went down to the final race in Brazil 2012, which is probably my favorite Grand Prix of all time. That is absolutely insane. Um, but other than that, it was like other than that season, his closest challenger was like Mark Webber the year before. It wasn't good.
That's pretty much all there is for three practice. Anyone want to
yeah, just
add anything else?
Red Bull seemed to have like some issues with setups. Like Max kept complaining, saying the car was undrivable. So we had a little bit of a kind of suspense about Red Bull fucking it up again and Ferrari going with it just based on free practice.
There was a lot of that as just cars start to build up, uh, getting getting in their groove, you could say, for the year as they find out how to drive it the fastest.
Yeah, it's not the first time this season we've seen the teams having sort of not getting the setup right straight away. I think Mercedes openly admitting for the first 2 weekends that they royally fucked their setups. Not that it's made all that much difference really, but this is a thing. Pretty much a lot of the teams do seem to be struggling with, some more so than others.
Going on to qualifying, it was honestly a kind of standard qualifying. But wait, what's this? Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi? No, 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 no!
I loved it.
They've crashed.
I loved it because at first we got the on the broadcast we get the shot of like Latifi's car in the wall. So obviously everybody's reaction is like, "Oh, Nikki, he's done it again." But then seeing the replay, we saw that it was actually Canadian Felson. I was gonna say number 2, but I guess now he's back to number 1. Lance Stroll, who kind of got angry, let's say.
Lance Stroll, it must be said, he's a very inconsistent driver, but if he is angry, he will absolutely run you off the road and drive into you like he did to Nicholas Latifi.
Yes, Lance Stroll got angry after a crash, which was entirely his fault. It's not sort of beat around the bush on this. This was pretty much all on Lance. Lance does this a lot. He likes turning in on drivers, and there was the way that sort of corner is with the barrier and the slight runoff on the inside. There was not a whole lot Latifi could do about that. It was either the glancing blow that he did get, or just going up the arse of Stroll's car, which would have been less fun for the pair of them.
And also because so what happened is that I think it was Lance that was on a fast lap or about to
Yeah,
start a fast lap.
they were. I don't think any of them were on fast laps. They were just
I think
kind of playing silly buggers. But go
I
on.
think Lance was like on his out lap, and Latifi was in lap. So Latifi kind of like gave him the space and like they're like, all right, you can pass me. That's you can pass me, bud. Eh? Because like let's not forget the Canadians. And Lance like went through the opening, but then decided to slow down as well, which kind of left Latifi in a weird situation where he just said, all right, I'm just going to keep the position then. And then Lance decided to murder him for this, which is not very Canadian of him.
Yeah, like it's very clear Lance knows that the car is there, and then he just like turns in. It's very dumb, very stupid. He got some penalty points as he should. And I don't believe he got a pit lane, or not a pit lane, a starting grid demotion or anything. But it's
I
very
think he
just very weird.
I think he did.
And Latifi is bad.
I think he did get like a free place grid drop, but that like since the Aston was such a shit car anyway, that like he qualified last anyway. So
No, that might be the case, but yes, we had that incident in Q1. Your runners were Stroll, Latifi, of course, then Vettel, K-Mag, and Alex Albon, who would later be disqualified for not having a fuel sample, which I will say again, that's a dumb rule.
Yeah.
Insanely
Don't
dumb
have
rule.
it.
yeah, like they should embrace it. Like they should do like Formula E, where like your cars are like nearly dead when you cross the line. That would be more fun.
But it worked out for Albon in the end, which we will get to. Props to Mick Schumacher for going ahead of his teammate. Getting into Q2, he finished 15th. Then we had Joey G, Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas, and Pierre Gasly.
Not a great pace for the AlphaTauri there. It's kind of worrying.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's worrying. I would say it's just they're kind of in no man's land right now.
also it tells you just how sort of punching above their weight as a team they were last season, particularly with Gasly's sort of crazy performances in qualifying most of the time. Like AlphaTauri are not a team which should be regularly getting fifth and sixth places like they were. I think this is kind of more representative of the sort of status of the team amongst the grid than their performances were last year.
Yeah, that being said, I think it was more Pierre Gasly that was just regularly getting fifth and sixth. I don't think you can like say Tsunoda was doing very good, although it was Tsunoda's rookie year.
He had some good weekends, like like
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to like see the true pace of that AlphaTauri from last year because they had such a bad driver and such an insane driver.
I think, I mean, although the thing is as well, like Gasly has also been struggling again this year. Well, not really struggling. I wouldn't say like he's having a particularly bad season or anything, but like you say, compared to the regular insanities he was pulling off last season, this is a slight downturn. But I'm not worried for him or AlphaTauri, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't be either if I were anyone who were a fan of them. It's just it's gonna be a couple odd races as everyone tries to figure it out. I mean, we already have now 9 teams, and I believe 15 drivers have already scored points.
Mm.
So that's insane compared to the last decade where it was always just domination of like the top 5 or 6.
And next race will be like the first big wave of upgrades. So we'll probably see like some teams like get some performance back. So who knows?
We definitely should, at least I hope we do. And back to performance of qualifying, we have then Fernando Alonso. His car kind of shit the bed in Q3. He was on a fantastic run, and then he just kind of binned it, which is unfortunate because he was about third or fourth throughout the majority of qualifying.
Yeah, El Plan showing up in fantastic fashion of just his hydraulics like dying right before he got into the corner. So that wasn't on Fernando, that was just on the car. But yeah, shame because that lap was, he was getting purple sectors and people like really believe that like on a good day that Alpine can, I wouldn't say go match the Ferraris or the Red Bulls, but could be ahead of McLaren and Mercedes. So kind of shame.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, sort of given the performance of Alonso's qualifying that I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Alpine on the podium on merit at some point this season. It was nice seeing him put in 3/4 of a lap, which is faster than 3/4 of a lap he's probably pulled in the best part of a decade.
It's interesting because Alpine have shown flashes of their brilliance this year. It's been in Q3 or Q2, or just the fact that they've been very fast on track. Uh, they have potential to be up there with Mercedes and Ferrari as the other constructors, but it's not yet to be seen if they can actually get over that hump. I hope they do because I would like to see another car be competitive, but I don't know based on the inner workings of that team with all of the stuff that's going on with them, from either like the drivers fighting on the track or severe like managerial
And I
problems.
do think like their biggest weakness is their engine. Like that Renault powertrain like seems fine and it's relatively reliable, but I won't see them, especially without a customer team, being able to like improve as much as manufacturers such as Mercedes or Ferrari could improve in like the longer the season goes. So yeah, I mean, a safety car or a red flag, whatever, could change a race, and Alpine is going to be the one team that will probably benefit from race incidents and stuff like this. So who knows? Like I could definitely see a podium, yeah, for sure.
That's kind of fucking sus considering you have Fernando Alonso on one of those cars, but moving on, we have after Fernando Alonso in qualifying, Carlos Sainz. He didn't really get out to have a full flying lap in Q3 after the red flags. Ferrari say his car just there was some sort of electrical problem. It just wouldn't start properly, so he got out. He put in a very slow lap, slowest of the people who finished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bad day for Spain all around, or a bad sort of Q3 for Spain anyway. It's yeah, and then it's a bad kind of just a pretty poor weekend for Sainz overall. To be fair, as we'll get on to it later. It was unfortunate he couldn't get the sort of flying lap in because if he had been, that Ferrari's really quick, he would have probably been top five. Like and although not like Leclerc needed it. To be fair,
It's not just like the last flying lap that was the issue though. Like because he had a flying lap in the first run of Q3, but it's kind of not great. I think he probably fucked a couple of corners and was like in ninth. And yeah, they really hoped that he could have like put in a flyer at the last minute. Sadly, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't really happen, which is again unfortunate for him, but it's just part of a just bad weekend for him all around. After signs, we have Esteban Ocon, pretty mid from him. That was kind of where that car was all weekend for him. Daniel Ricciardo seventh, and George Russell and Lewis Hamilton sixth and fifth, behind Lando Norris, who was best of the rest.
McLaren fast again.
McLaren fast. Finally, God, my early season just repeated shitting myself over just how slow that car was looking has been put to rest earlier than I was expecting it to be. To be honest, McLaren were looking pretty speedy through quali, which was nice.
They definitely were. They looked both of the McLarens looked faster than the Mercedes at points, even perhaps challenging the Red Bulls, but it didn't quite come to fruition for them.
I mean, going back to what Lando and Daniel said about the car, the last two races, I do think it's just the track suited them better this time around, because I don't think they would have really had the time to put proper upgrades in the car. I think Imola, like I said, will be the proper like test of potential improvements.
I fucking hope so. As a McLaren fan, I just want Orange Team to be good.
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo, World Drivers' Champion 2022. It can still mathematically happen, so as long as that is the case, I'm gonna say it is.
Okay. Back to the people who aren't on LSD and copium.
My
We
favorite fucking
have
drug, copium. Hell yeah.
we have Sergio Perez third, Max Verstappen second. It looked like Verstappen was gonna be third until the final lap. Perez was pretty consistently ahead of him qualifying.
Yeah, I thought for a second that like I mean I still think it's possible that the title of Mr. Saturday could actually become Senor Saturday with Checo like doing great job in qualifying recently, which wasn't his strong suit in last year with Red Bull. So good on Checo, obviously.
Yes, good for him. And then of course finally Charles Leclerc on pole. I think everybody saw that coming just based on how fast the Ferrari was over the practices.
Yep. Also, there's a name in that list of Q3 runners that is surprisingly missing. Valtteri Bottas is did not reach Q3 for the first time in like I think since he got to Mercedes.
Yes, 103 races if I remember correctly. Walter Bottle's in the bin. Bottled it once
He
again.
did, although I think the Alpha as a whole looked pretty slow this weekend. It didn't look the car that it looked in Bahrain for sure.
Yeah, it looks like the Ferrari B teams, Alpha and Haas, that kind of like were the big surprises of the first two races are getting back to their actual places. But who knows with Imola again coming and the first proper upgrades, they might jump back up again.
It'll be interesting to see what Haas does, as they're very more traditionally one of those teams that just upgrades in huge packages, one at a time. I don't know if they'll get it right this time or if they'll just shit the bed again. Yet to be seen. But with all of that Ferrari brain trust, hopefully they can get it right, because I'd like to see more teams up at the top. Haas being one of them.
Yeah, Haas this weekend were again, like you're saying, Ferrari's sort of second teams have taken a bit of a drop off this at Australia. Was it 15th and 16th? I believe they both qualified. And I will say about Haas though, it is nice seeing Magnussen and Schumacher perform relatively close to each other. It's good sign for Schumacher in particular, because Magnussen came in and was shit hot, and I think this is perhaps you can draw a line between pretty much how they've been performing this weekend and how they're performing in Bahrain, and somewhere right in the middle is probably a realistic sort of look at how Haas are this season. I think they were unbelievably fast to begin with, and I think this weekend was unrepresentatively slow for them.
Yeah, and also,
I hope so.
we knew that Kevin is probably like the fastest driver of the pair. And it does seem that his return to Formula One, being kind of like rushed, is not doing him any favors, because he, before the weekend opening, said that like he's struggling with neck issues, so he needs to get some more fitness going to just like, yeah, it's. I wouldn't worry too much about Haas, but it was interesting to see them drop a little bit, and also it fucked a lot of people fantasy teams this weekend. So
That it certainly did. But now we can get to the race.
Broom,
And
broom.
oh my god, was it shit. But before the race, we had Max Verstappen's car suffering several hydraulic issues.
uh-oh.
He got to the grid. Red Bull must have noticed something because they took like the entire front structure off on the grid, which is very unheard
It's
of.
that's
So it was definitely a rush job to try and fix it, and it didn't exactly work. I guess we can just talk about it now because it did go boom about halfway through the race.
Yeah, Red Bull reliability problems this season have been interesting and frankly hilarious to see. Um, just sort of referring to my comments last podcast about it's nice having cars just go boom for once, and it's particularly nice to the team we all hate. Um, and like you're saying, going to the grid and seeing your car not have a face is always concerning. um it's I think, Reid, you said after the race it's like 60% something, like Red Bull's powertrain DNF rate this season, which is insane
Red Bull
madness.
Red Bull powertrains have a DNF rate of just over 50%. And those are all mechanical retirements. Don't know if they're all related to the engine specifically, but they are all mechanical retirements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's been a bad couple of weeks for Red Bull, and this season Max not even be in the top three of the driver standings. I believe Russell's second, and I think is it Sainz or Checo third.
Max is sixth. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean it's only 3 races in, but it's not where you want to. That's not where you want to be when you're the reigning champion.
It's also, it's interesting because like, so like you mentioned, like with the pre-race incident, I was thinking about it. I think it was Hungary 2020 when Max binned it in his warm-up lap, and the team managed to like rebuild the car in like half an hour, and he managed to arrive second in that race, which was kind of like a miracle. So to be fair, like when I saw this, I thought like, hey, they're gonna be fine. And it ended up in like the failure. I think it was a fuel pump issue, or fuel leak, something like that, because Max mentioned like in his radio call before the car went boom that like he was smelling a leak. So
It was a fuel line
yeah,
that broke.
so probably not related to the problem he had before the race anyway.
Horner came out after the race and essentially said, "I'd rather have a quick car that we need to fix than a slow car that is reliable." Which that's that's my favorite thing I've ever heard Horner say. Yes, please keep making your cars like just not work, Christian. That makes me very happy.
Even when he's in trouble, he manages to diss his Mercedes, because that's like probably
Yes,
like,
yeah, we were taking direct shots at Mercedes, and he is right though. I would rather be in Red Bull's position than Mercedes at the current, because you can fix a broken fast car. Making a reliable slow car faster is always more difficult.
yeah, but then you're losing points. They lost so many points in the two races they had issues that like uh,
That may be true, but they don't have to put all that money and brain power into trying to make the design fast instead of just fixing what's broken,
Yeah.
whether it be like a fuel pump or connecting rods or anything like that.
Which still might end up being very expensive and time consuming, but probably less so than the alternative. Like Mercedes having this sort of wild new aero concept and it not really working as intended is a huge problem. Whereas a car being unreliable is a big problem, of course, but they are still scoring quite a lot of points. But
I'm just
yeah,
gonna take a page out of Alice's book and say make it more rigid.
yeah.
That's all you have
Yeah.
to do. Just make the Formula One car more rigid.
Make it, yeah, just make the engine parts harder, then they won't explode.
Yeah, get
Yes.
some rebar on there, some concrete, and you get a good car.
Yeah. Speaking of rigid, though, Carlos is. I almost said Carlos drove a Mercedes. Fuck. Carlos's Ferrari did a little bit of a skirt into the gravel, and he almost fucking died when he got ran over by Joe and Sonoda.
Yes.
But he did. He's fine. He just at that new at the new kink in the back straight, he just kind of sent it a little too hard and went onto the grass, then went across the track into the gravel.
Yeah, which was a mistake. A couple of drivers were making. Magnussen did essentially a carbon copy mistake later on in the race, but managed to keep the car straight when it went off the track, and so didn't end up in the gravel. But it's just a bad weekend for Sainz, like we were saying. It's not where he wanted to end up. It's a unfortunate for Ferrari that they didn't get all those points, but it's a sacrifice that was sort of rebalanced totally by the fact Red Bull's main guys didn't finish either, so they kind of got away with one there. Otherwise, I think Carlos would be in a bit of trouble.
Carlos was
I said it at the but I said it at the beginning of the race weekend. It looked like everybody's brakes were just wound a little too tight,
Yeah,
and everybody was just going off as they just locked up.
Yeah, because also to be fair, I think what happened with Carlos is that it was definitely overdriving to get ahead of the field, because also Carlos was running a different strategy than most of the on the cars, like running on mediums instead of running on hards, right? Instead of everyone being on mediums. Yeah, I think they were just on him, like trying to cover up for his bad qualifying performance, and yeah, sadly, just overcooked it. That shit happens. Sucks for him though, because now we're definitely entering the phase where like Charles is more or less de facto driver number one for a while.
I don't think it was ever in question that Charles was driver number one, no matter what Ferrari said, either being last year or this year.
Yeah, last year was such a good season for Carlos that some people thought that maybe like not that he would be driver number one, but that like Ferrari might have like considered putting them at equal level.
that I saw that talk quite a lot, and I always just thought like it's never been Ferrari's thing to do that. Ferrari's always like that's the formula they've had the most success with, and Ferrari are nothing but an institute of habit. So I would have been quite surprised if they had sort of decided to put Sainz on level pegging with Charles, and he did have a very good season last year, more than I think certainly I was expecting, but I think Leclerc is clearly the guy, not just sort of on the performances of this season so far, but also going back, looking over the past sort of couple of seasons and things. Leclerc is Ferrari's guy. He is, they dumped off Kimi to bring in Leclerc when he was like 19, 20 years old. I would have been very surprised if they had sort of been putting Sainz on level pegging with Leclerc, because Leclerc clearly wants to be the guy as well. This is not just a case of what Ferrari thinks best, but also Leclerc wants to be the number one guy, and he wants to have that team focused around making him quicker and his car the best on the track, and it's working.
Perhaps Ferrari should just take Carlos's slow button off.
That would also help. Yeah.
it's it's interesting though that Ferrari having like probably the best lineup on the grid right now, because yeah, like I said, Carlos is fast and relatively consistent if you forget about the last race. I thought for a while that like before the season started, I thought that there was a chance that the two of them could not necessarily fight, but could like swap places around depending on races, which could still happen. You know, if Charles have like a bad race, I'm pretty sure Carlos will be able to step it up. But yeah,
Yeah, just wait till we're at another street circuit. But I think that's all we need to talk about Ferrari and Sainz and Sainz. What the fuck am I talking about? You know the guys in the red speedy cars, those fucking fellas.
Carlos Sainz. We have that. I have in the notes here. Lance the Menace. Was Lance being a dickhead in the race? I don't remember
yeah.
that.
So there was two incidents. One where he more or less blocked Bottas quite aggressively, pushing him off the track, which was then followed by a lot of weaving. Which, if you're not aware, in Formula One, if you're defending, you're only allowed to change direction, like I think twice before a corner. And that motherfucker was going left and right. Got a penalty, got a 5-second penalty for that, but like continued
You
doing
can
it
weave.
after the penalty. So it's kind of
Yeah, you can weave just so long as it's not in the braking zone. When it's the braking zone, you have to be in a straight line,
Yeah,
which is understandable.
you weave in a braking zone, you're gonna get fucking anally penetrated by whoever's behind you, and neither of you are gonna have a fun day.
there was
Oh yes, I do. I do remember this now too. Yeah, because Lance, for some reason, he pitted 4 times during the race.
Yes, he did. They just kept bringing him in, which was quite funny to see because they
Oh,
were just, Aston Martin sabotaging Lance's race, which was already fucked, is just beautiful.
but him also somehow still scoring points almost
Yeah,
is very. It was just very weird race because Stroll pitted for. He started on hards. He pitted for mediums. Then he went back to the hards, and then that was in the span of 2 laps. And then on lap 23, he went to another set of hards, and then it doesn't say on my chart here, but I almost am certain that he pitted again towards the end of the
no,
race.
because he didn't serve his penalty. His penalty was like added post race.
Was it? Oh, that might be why then. So he only pitted 3 times, but it's still just a very weird strategy. That wasn't even really a strategy. That was like Ferrari strategy level.
yeah, it was. It was just, it was just typical Aston Martin shit. This is what we need to come to expect from they are fucking idiots. Their driver, one of them, is a fucking idiot. They're gonna do stupid shit. This is just I was very hopeful about Aston Martin coming into the sport. It's gone badly. Sad times. You know, at
And
least Lance Stroll doesn't have a fast car.
and to think that if Lance didn't get his penalty, he would have been in the points.
Yeah. Oh god, for that fucking F1.
He wouldn't have been. He got overtaken at the very end.
Oh yeah, but he
Anyways,
would have like fought for the points.
yes, he could have been much closer. That's fair to say. Another very weird strategy, because there was like fuck all to talk about in this race. We already talked about 2 interesting things. Was Alex Albon. He effectively had a no stop that turned into
Hell
pitting
fucking
at the
yeah.
very end for softs because he was forced to by the laws.
And
I think Williams should have just had the fucking balls to just take the disqualification and just let him run the whole way, because it was a beautiful performance from Alex Albon going an entire race in the dry on the same set of tires.
and like it wasn't I think it was because of Lance getting penalty that they decided to stick with that, because they realized that like, oh shit, like there's a driver that has like a 5-second gap, like is not gonna take it in the pits. So like credits to Williams for like deciding to go for like the wild card. And yeah, like I was wondering what the fuck are they. I was thinking like, are they dumb enough to forget about the rule? But figure out no, they were smart enough to just pull him in the last race, in the last lap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Albon running all the way up in 7th for the last bit of the race up until he had to pit, at which point he was in 10th, and he just barely made it past the finish line before Leclerc did. And there were also fans walking into the pit lanes as he was coming out. I don't know if any of you saw those
No,
photos,
I
but
didn't see that.
it was very funny.
One last thing about Albon as well. The thing I found most impressive about this wasn't just the fact he managed to carry those tires all the way along. Sort of Checo looking on enviously at Albon's tire maintaining capabilities, but also his pace, although never spectacular, didn't drop off as much as you'd really expect it to do in doing something insane like this. He was still not lapping too terribly before he pitted. He could have, had the regulations not demanded he pit, he could have finished that race no problem in the points by not pitting.
100% could have. Moving on from that, Charles had a Grand Slam weekend.
Hmm.
I don't think it was a true Grand Slam because I don't believe it was fastest in every practice session, but he won qualifying. He got every lap of the race led, and he had fastest lap. So good for
And he had
him.
more fastest lap that he could have wanted, because the thing I said about me loving Charles being a potential world champion is that he's so funny when he's confident and nothing bad happens to him. Because there was a bunch of radios of him just saying like, "All right, can I go for a fastest lap?" Towards the end of the race, and Ferrari saying like, "You already have it. Nobody will catch up to you. Why do you want to risk your car like doing a fast one?" And you're just like, "Okay, but okay." And he did end up doing fastest lap on the last lap of the race, kind of like almost apologizing to his engineer at the end, just being, sorry, I couldn't help myself.
It is always a good sign when
Yeah,
a driver is that confident in a car. That Ferrari is exceedingly fast, and Leclerc is a very good driver.
yeah, it's good. I love Leclerc when he is winning, even when he's not winning. He's just he is a character when he's in the car.
Yeah, yeah, he's great.
Just like example one being "I am stupid corner," which now everyone now calls it "I am stupid corner."
Oh god, I can't wait to get to Baku this season as well with these
Yes.
fucking dumbass cars. It's gonna be majestic shit. But
Yes.
one last thing in the notes we have about Lewis being a whiny bitch, and I quickly go over this. I was not going to mention this, but I was scrolling through Twitter while we were recording. I know, naughty boy, and there is a quote from Mika Hakkinen has just came out, which I think you'll enjoy. Mika Hakkinen on Lewis Hamilton. I wonder how Lewis behaves in team meetings. I bet he's sulking. I can imagine it. Lots of complaining and lots of whining. This starts as a natural thought process of drivers. Should I go somewhere else?
See, this is I love Mika, and this is why I also hate Lewis Hamilton because he's just a fucking whiny bitch to his team. People always ask you, why do you hate Lewis Hamilton so much? He's the greatest driver of all time, and he's black. I say, listen, he's a fucking asshole. I don't like fucking assholes.
I wouldn't go as
Yeah,
far. I think he's more like kind of like a perfectionist type of guy that will, mean that you're gonna get pissy if things don't go your way. I also think that like it was because of what is now a trend for the last couple of years of like Mercedes fucking up their pit strategy again. So I can understand like the resentment he had towards his team during the race. Like that's
he wants first driver treatment, but it doesn't matter because that team is fucking shit. And also, George is leading them in points right now, so get fucked. You're not first driver
George
anymore.
Russell fast. I mean, I think I like Lewis. Lewis was the driver that got me in F1 originally, sort of in his days at McLaren. But what I will say about him is he seems like a pretty good guy off the grid, but on the grid, he is what I like to call a professional arsehole. Not as in that he is paid to be an arsehole, but he is a guy who is normally very nice. But when it comes to his profession, being a racing driver, he is a fucking cock. And this is sort of it's played out through his entire career. And he is a whiny motherfucker. All racing drivers are whiny bitches. This is sort of a known fact. But Lewis is the most racing driver of the whiny bitches.
Do you think he does it on the radio just because he knows he's going to get sympathy points from the fans?
Not really, because now it's getting to a point where like people are getting kind of no sympathy for him. Yeah,
But
he was put in a bad situation, but it's not like he was contending for a win or anything.
I think you're forgetting about the hashtag Void Lap 58 army.
I think
And
Yeah,
I,
but
I don't I don't think Lewis. I don't think that's why he does it. I think the reason Lewis does it is because he is just so used to winning that he is not happy he's not winning anymore. But even when Lewis did win, he moaned. It's just kind of what it's his natural disposition. Weary says, he is such a perfectionist that anything short of perfection to him feels like failure. And what does Lewis do when he failed? He moans. He's a little bitch boy. This is this is just kind of Lewis's natural reaction to everything, which is unfortunate because it is fucking annoying.
I think it ties in well to my theory on phrenology of the British wine set.
I mean, yeah, Britain, we make all the best racing drivers, and thus we are the most whiniest people on earth. I'll agree with that one.
and
I would put it in reverse, but yeah.
that's why I love Charles Leclerc being in this position right now, because that man has been just like the happiest motherfucker in the grid for this season so far, and I love it.
I think it is nice. It is nice. The thing is, Leclerc, like you've got the three types of winning racing driver, right? You've got Lewis, who is the guy that is so used to winning, anything short of obliterating everybody makes him upset. Then you've got Max, who wins and is angry just all of the time because he's just an angry man, which is also really fun to watch. I enjoy angry Max. And then you've got Leclerc, that I'm just happy to be here guy, who is also insanely talented. So like he's just like his nice his little monegasque smile when he's sort of wheeling the car around is always nice to see.
Yes, I do love that. So that's it for our race. Let's do a quick fire round on the news. Just a couple sentences each from you on this. Romain Grosjean getting a second place, nearly a win at Long Beach in IndyCar.
Yeah, so I watched it. This is, yeah, kind of a weird race at Long Beach because it's a weird track. Some funny moments, like Pagano ended up in the flowers at the runabout. And Romain, thanks to a bunch of retirements, managed to catch up to, I think it was New Garden, and had like a couple of fights, couple of like laps of fighting with him. Sadly, was a bit short, but it's good to see Roma having a good time in IndyCar.
Okay, that was a lot longer than two sentences, but Anthony.
I didn't watch this. I like Roman Grosjean. Seeing him do well makes me happy.
Okay. Uh, Audi, Porsche, uh, VW saga with Red Bull, and the new engine developments. I'll go first. It looks like they're going to have a works team and that also might partner with Red Bull, although maybe not. That's still completely up in the air. I would like to see two teams from VW Group. I would also like to see Andretti Global enter.
Yeah, my take on this is basically the Germans are coming. But it's going to be, I've been saying this for ages now. More teams, please. I don't care who they are. Just get fucking more cars on the fucking grid. God damn it! And it's another nice option. It'll be more engine manufacturers as well, which is also desperately needed. Ask McLaren. So that'll be nice. There was obviously all those rumors last year about Porsche buying or Audi buying McLaren and stuff, but that went quiet because and things. Um, I think I think this is good for the sport. They might end up dominating, such as F1. At least it's a different team.
Yeah, my only take on this is, like I said in the first episode of the season, I want a Lambo works team.
A Lambo Works team would be dope. On to our final news piece before our crypto bit with the dumb sponsors. The Miami track still doesn't have a permit. They didn't have a permit to build the pit buildings because the pit buildings were on top of a sewage access point. So I don't think they give a shit.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
no.
just It's just some NIMBYism going on, but it's funny that we are a couple of weeks away from this race and they're still theoretically not allowed to happen.
Oh, it's Jeddah all over again. The fucking petro states are at it again, boys. I mean, this fucking yeah, that's my take on the Miami GP. It'll happen, even if the FIA will find some way to bulldoze through the regulations and just do it anyway. It's what the FIA do.
Yes, the great petro state of Florida.
All right, boys, it is time again to take a deep dive in the dumb sponsor minutes.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Oh,
And I want to talk this week about something less funny than the Everdome, but I think interesting because I noticed that this company is getting more involved in Formula One. It's a company that Anthony might be familiar with as a football fan. Let's talk about Socios.com.
Oh no.
I feel like I have been blessed by not hearing anything about this, but I'm not blessed anymore.
So Socios, it's a name taken from Barcelona soccer team who call their fans, who are also part owners of the team, the Socios. And it's an app. It's a crypto app. The idea is that you buy sort of like participation tokens in your favorite team using a cryptocurrency called Chiliz. So Chile with Z, very 2000s. And you're supposed to have like more power as a fan. So the idea is that like you would have votes for token holders to influence stuff. Like when they pitched it originally, it was like you could decide about recruitment and stuff like this. In the end, it's more like, hey, what color do you want the scarf to be this week? Like it's never going to be taken seriously. But yeah,
So it is like an official thing, though, right? Like that the club takes part in.
Yeah. It is a bunch of European, fairly big European football team have their fan token thing as their like shirt sponsors this year.
Okay. I mean, if you can, I don't really mind them like not having a say on like transfers and shit, but the like suggestion box could be nice.
Yeah, I mean the like what you said, they're named after the Barcelona Socios, which slight aside, known for being entitled, bratty, annoying sons of bitches. They're some of the worst football fans on the earth. I love Barcelona. I
So
hate the Socios.
So you just mean Spanish?
Yeah, they're very Spanish in the way they support football, which is ironic because they're massive Catalonian independence people. But yes, it's a pretty dumb idea. Of course, none of these teams were actually going to let the fans decide anything. Even the way even naming this after the Socios and having that be the idea behind how it works is kind of a fundamental misunderstanding of how the Socio system works for Barcelona, because it's just members of the club and the members elect a president, which then does all of the shit. They've not been doing that particularly well lately either. But yeah, it's very dumb. It's really annoying, but it's actually, I mean, it's dumb and bad and annoying because crypto stuff is dumb, bad, and annoying. But it's one of the slightly less offensive crypto integrations into sports I've seen in a while.
Yeah, but it's still very predatory because it's like appealing to fans, and it says that like if you really want to be a fan, you should spend money for the shit. To be fair, their currency is like worth nothing. The current exchange rate.
Yeah, to be clear, this is not an ownership stake, correct? This
No,
is
no.
just some dumb thing.
No, yeah.
It's an NFT. It's an NFT that gets you like theoretically some influence over your favorite team.
It would be like,
God, I feel like I'm in trash future.
it would
right
be
now.
like buying a shirt, going to the club shop and buying a shirt, and then being like, "I've bought a shirt. I can choose who the fuck you buy now." Like, it's very dumb. Like, if you want to buy an NFT of your team, like, whatever, go ahead. Fucking okay, whatever. But this is just very weird and stupid.
So yeah, so I mentioned this because Socios have their tokens for 2 of the Formula One grid. Do you want to guess which teams?
Is it McLaren?
It's gonna be someone. No, I don't think it's McLaren. It's gonna be someone completely dumb. Just will take money from anyone, anywhere, and has no morals whatsoever. So I'm gonna say Aston Martin.
Yes. Can you guess the second one?
Alpine.
Alfa Romeo.
Italians, right? Yes, makes sense.
Well, Swiss technically because it's Sauber.
Well, yeah.
It's funny that, by the way, because the token is not named after Alfa Romeo; it's named after Sauber. So I'm thinking that what happened is that like Sauber took the sponsorship, and then Alfa Romeo said like, no, you're not putting our name on this bullshit.
Well, it's because Alfa Romeo Formula One team doesn't exist. Peter Sauber has just stenciled an Alfa Romeo badge on his own forehead and is claiming to be Alfa Romeo.
This is true.
So if you want to purchase an Aston Martin token, that would cost you right now 4.42
I'm gonna shoot you. If you purchase this, I'm gonna shoot you.
chilies, which is equivalent to $1 and 3 cents.
I'm gonna buy us a podcast Aston Martin share or whatever the fuck, not a share podcast Aston Martin
And
Socios chili whatever the fuck.
And
I was gonna say, I mean, is a podcast a material thing? Can we put a shirt onto a podcast?
yeah, could be.
I'm gonna
now
start,
we're asking the metaphysical questions here.
when I upload these to YouTube, I'm gonna start minting them as NFTs and I'm gonna start selling them.
If you do this, I quit.
Oh boy. Well, we already missed the fucking bubble, you asshole. Why didn't you think of this when we did it the first time around?
No, our podcast now is a DAO.
Oh god. Oh fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. I think that wraps it up today, friends. It was a shit race.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was
kinda
bad.
boring.
Quickly before we wrap up, Russian Nazi child. There was a Russian Nazi child. That's it.
Yeah, shithead, edgy.
He's
fucker.
very dumb, very a shitlord. That's it. I'm done. I'm probably gonna have Rocket cut this. Anyways, bye bye.
All right, see ya.
Outfit is in.
He can come again, Paul.